Good morning and welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We are live in Abuja. I am Nolin Ebel Ame with the news. Headlines. Vice President Kashim Shettima says judgment granting autonomy to local government councils will enhance Nigeria's universal basic education system. Minister of Information urges international media to adhere to principles of fairness, accuracy and objectivity in reporting on issues concerning Nigeria. Security agencies promise to sustain vigilance on crude theft and pipeline vandalism. Minister of Power tasked industry players and performance to restore customers' confidence. And here is the news. The recent Supreme Court judgment granting autonomy to local government councils will enhance Nigeria's universal basic education system. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this during the public presentation of a book, Navigating the Politics of Universal Education Policies in Nigeria, written by a former Deputy Governor of Ekiti State, Professor Modukwe Adelabu. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Professor Adelabu's insights are born out of experience and passion, and I believe this book will serve as a critical resource for all who seek to improve our educational landscape.
This is a celebration of excellence and scholarship. The book, Navigating the Politics of Universal Education Policies in Nigeria, bringing together politics, education and funding, focuses on how Nigeria fared in the race to educate its citizens in line with the evolving needs in the global market.
By reading that book, we shall be wiser and we shall know better. We are going to be wiser. And for taking a copy of that book and reading it, we are going to know better about education.
Nigeria cannot stand as an island. While we are thinking of what we need there, let's also think of how we are going to be relevant globally. And that is what I've tried to talk about in this book.
And the federal government is leveraging the charge to actualize educational agenda by using the local government areas to ensure proper policy implementation.
The recent Supreme Court judgment empowering local government councils to control their resources brings government closer to the people. It provides new hope for our educational initiatives. And as a governor, as a former governor, I won't join in gloating and insulting the governors that have been castrated from having access to local government funds. Far from it, we need to align with the governors and see that the educational needs of our children are catered for.
I know that when we pick a copy of this book, or more copies for others to read, we'll be transferring that virtue of Prof to each and every one of us.
The greatest concern of discussant is the politics that has eaten deep into the standards of the nation's education, urging government at all levels to review educational policies in Nigeria for national development. In Abuja, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has urged international media outlets to adhere to the principles of fairness, accuracy and objectivity in their reporting on issues concerning Nigeria. The minister, while playing host to the Director, Global News and Deputy CEO of the British Broadcasting Corporation, Jonathan Morrow, pledged the federal government's commitment to press freedom. Salihu Gwanara reports.
Nigeria has remained a preferred destination for businesses from around the world. British Broadcasting Corporation BBC is one of those organizations taking advantage of Nigeria's population and rich culture and pledged to continue partnership. Here, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, assured investors with genuine interest in promoting Nigeria's unity in diversity, particularly those in the media industry, a conducive atmosphere and freedom.
The Nigerian authorities, particularly this administration, is committed to ensuring that practitioners in the area of media and journalism generally do their operations freely without any form of interference, and we intend to keep it so. But we also urge you to continue to balance your stories, to hear our side, our own side of the story. It's not only the bad news that comes out of Nigeria, a lot of good things. I'm sure your correspondents on ground will have seen that. We have a lot of positive things that we are doing in this country, and there is a gradual progression towards prosperity that we are seeing. What we require of you to is understanding of the peculiar situation that Nigeria is at the moment, and to understand that whatever government does is in the interest of not just Nigerians, but the world generally.
We're committed to continuing with our mission and to growing our audience here in Nigeria, particularly those audiences who find consumption of news more challenging, perhaps those who are not as capable of getting news digitally as other parts of the country. And thanks to the partnership we have with the Nigerian people, we have more than 30 million people coming to our news services every week.
The minister solicited support and partnership with BBC to sustain the training of Nigerian broadcasters. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
And talking security, there's been an improvement in crude oil production in the wake of renewed efforts of security agencies to curb crude theft and pipeline vandalism. Director Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, who disclosed this, said security forces will sustain the offensive to show up oil production. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
It's another opportunity for the military authorities to provide updates on operations across the country.
For the surveillance of the pipeline,
Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, provides details according to activities in various theaters.
the troops of Operation Safe Haven neutralized 10 insurgents, arrested 78 suspects, and rescued 16 kidnapped hostages during the period under review. Troops also raided terrorist enclaves in Bama and Damboa local government areas of Borno State, while they arrested terrorist commanders in Gujba and Gaidam local government areas of Yobe State.
As for crude oil production, he says there is a substantial improvement in output.
This is indicative of the fact that we are on the right track, but we are not going to rest on our oars. We are going to push forward. We are going to sustain the momentum.
The efforts are beginning to show results, with Nigeria's crude output recently increasing from 1.2 million barrels per day to 1.61 million barrels. The federal government is now targeting 2.2 million barrels per day. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
In a similar development, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has commended Nigerian Air Force pilots in Kainji, Niger State, for achieving a significant flying milestone of 10,000 flight hours on the A-29 Super Tucano aircraft fleet. He disclosed this at the Air Training Command Kainji, Niger State, while on an operational visit. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello has the details.
A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Vice Marshal Edward Gapquet, indicates that Air Marshal Abubakar describes the milestone as the culmination of years of dedication, sacrifice, unwavering commitment, training, meticulous planning, and flawless execution to NAF's mission of ensuring the integrity of the airspace by gaining and maintaining control of the air and retaining a credible capacity to fulfill other air power tasks demanded by the national defense and security imperatives. The Chief of the Air Staff expressed delight that the milestone was achieved without any major incidents on the aircraft, which we attributed to the high premium, the NAF, strict adherence to safety measures with a view to achieve the desired result. The Air Chief equally paid tribute to NAF's fallen heroes, noting that the milestone was a reminder of their sacrifices, courage and commitment, which have continued to inspire the Nigerian Air Force of the importance of its mission. As the world continues to change and new threats emerge every day, Air Marshal Abubakar stressed the need for more commitments to excellence, steadfastness, and continue to adapt, innovate, and evolve to stay ahead of adversaries. Highlighting NAF's efforts in the various internal security operations across the nation, which have been critical to decimating terrorists and other criminals, as well as supporting ground offensives by own troops, he lauded President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the National Assembly, and Ministers of Defense for their unwavering support to NAF and the armed forces and other security agencies to ensuring the protection of the nation's territorial integrity. Since its induction in August 2021, the A-29 Super Tucano fleet has been involved in several decisive missions in the various operational theaters across the country, with over 8,500 hours flown on the fleet, comprising of day and night operational sorties against terrorists, bandits and other violent non-state actors threatening national peace. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
And from the power sector, with a target not to go below 6,000 megawatts of electricity supply this year, the federal government is engaging power generation and distribution companies to sustain the current momentum of improvement in supply. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu tasked industry players on performance to restore customers' confidence in the sector. Joshua Ojito reports.
Industry players across generation, transmission and distribution arms of the power sector meet to review their performances while highlighting challenges impeding the growth of the sector.
We've achieved 5,155 megawatts, specifically on the 8th of August, which keeps us on the right track to achieving these 6,000. But we have to sustain it. So we have all identified the impediments to achieving this, which we have discussed here as a team, and we have set up a committee that will ensure that all these impediments are dealt with, from infrastructure, from off-taking, from anything that we believe will be called in the wheel of progress of achieving this.
There are challenges of revenue collection by the distribution companies, especially from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and some ministries, departments and agencies of government, and the meeting adopt measures to addressing the issue, among other challenges. On local content, federal government insists industry players must adopt local content policy for job creation and discourage importation of power equipment, as committee to enforce compliance is to be set up. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
If you just joined us, this is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Let's take a break. We'll be back soon.
My vision for our country is one of a just and prosperous nation, where each person may enjoy the peace, freedom, and meaningful livelihood that only democratic good governance can provide. One that is open, transparent, and accountable to the Nigerian people.
Thank you for staying with us on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Now talking business, federal government inaugurates a technical subcommittee on Naira-based crude sales to local refineries. Vivian Ezadafe has more in business package.
The The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, while inaugurating the committee in Abuja, stated that the initiative aligns with the presidential directive aimed at revolutionizing the energy sector by reducing reliance on crude oil export and fostering local expertise. The committee, which includes the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, as well as the representatives from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, Central Bank of Nigeria, Afrexim Bank, Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, has the critical role of crafting a robust template that will ensure the successful implementation of the initiative. The minister emphasized that this initiative is part of a broader strategy to position Nigeria as a refining hub, which will significantly boost the economy through the reduction of reliance on crude oil export and fostering local expertise in the energy sector. The minister, however, emphasized that the ultimate goal is to transform Nigeria's energy sector into one that is self-reliant and globally competitive, saying the ultimate goal of boosting economic growth, reducing poverty and enhancing refining capacity is within reach. In another development, the African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank, has signed a project preparation facility agreement with Vinox Limited for the financing of the development of Vinox porcelain tile manufacturing plants located in Shagamu, Ogun State. The plant, to be operated as an indigenous-owned state-of-the-art facility with an annual production capacity of 6.6 million square meters of floor and wall tiles, is expected to bring on stream assets with an estimate investment cost of $117 million US. With business, Vivian Izadifi.
Gombe State government has concluded arrangements to explore $1.5 billion partnership with the Islamic Development Bank in areas of agriculture, education and other social interventions in fast-tracking development for prosperity in the Jewel of Savannah. Correspondent Abubakar Akwanga has more on this.
Gombe State, blessed with about 20,000 square kilometers of landmass and 3 million population size, is upscaling partnerships to drive an agenda for the utilization of abundant human and material resources. Now the latest is the commitment secured to leverage on the $1.5 billion facility of the Islamic Development Bank in Nigeria to deepen investment scope in agriculture and other areas of comparative advantage within and around the borders of neighboring states.
As part of the effort that this government did, we put up industrial park, that is to stimulate economic activity around the production of either agricultural livestock or mineral resources that we can add value to in terms of processing, to see that we can support and get badly required foreign exchange for Nigeria.
I would like to inform you that the bank is quite active in Nigeria. We have a current portfolio of around $1.5 billion. We are working in 17 states. This year, we have been working with the Gombe State, the consultant, to identify, in new intervention areas since last year. And I hope that, this year we can conclude our discussion, and hopefully next year we'll have some new projects coming up, inshallah.
Other areas of social interventions include reformation of Almajiri school system and addressing out-of-school children phenomenon, which are gaining attention of northern governors. Governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahya also promised to water grounds for free flow of investors in key areas that support government initiative in putting Gombe on the global map of advanced economies. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
And let's take you to Gombe, to Yobe State rather, where advancing cooperation, stabilization, peace building and promoting sustainable development among the member states of Nigeria, Niger, Chad and Cameroon are expected to dominate discussions at the upcoming meeting of the Lake Chad Basin Governors Forum. This was at the inaugural meeting of the local organizing committee for the hosting of the 5th edition of the Governors Meeting. held in Damaturu. Yunusa Suleiman reports.
This meeting was summoned by the chairperson of the local organizing committee and secretary to Yobe State government, Babu Malam Wali, to plan and make adequate arrangements ahead of the 5th meeting of the Lake Chad Basin Governors Forum to be hosted by Yobe State government. The significant regional event, the chairperson says, is scheduled to hold from 14th to 18th of October 2024 and will also bring together key stakeholders to address critical issues affecting the Lake Chad Basin region.
Our task is to ensure that this meeting, we are going to have a meeting with the Lake Chad Basin Commission sometimes around the 21st of this month. They will be coming from N'Djamena in order to also rub minds and to ensure that all hands are on deck to ensure the success of the meeting.
The local organizing committee chairperson reaffirmed the commitment of Yobe State government to hosting a successful and meaningful meeting, reflecting the forum's dedication to the peace, stability and prosperity of the Lake Chad Basin region. During the upcoming regional meeting, Governor Buni of Yobe State is expected to take charge as the forum's chairperson for the first time. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Let's shift our attention to health news now. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, says the country is strengthening national coordination response on managing several endemic diseases, including Mpox, recently declared a public health emergency of international concern by the World Health Organization, WHO. At a media engagement in Abuja, NCDC's Director General, Dr. Jide Idris, says Nigeria is monitoring development of the disease outside the country. Oluseyi Agbiabo has details.
In the Mpox epidemiological summary of the NCDC, Nigeria has no record of deaths from the Mpox, but a total of 39 cases have been confirmed out of 788 suspected ones in 33 states, including the FCT, between 1st January and 5th August 2024. To counter the spread of Mpox, a highly contagious disease, formerly known as monkeypox, Nigeria CDC Director General spoke on the workings of the National Mpox Technical Working Group, coordinating a multi-sectoral response activities.
We are intensifying surveillance activities that's tracking cases across Nigeria to swiftly detect and respond to any new cases. We are working with the Port Health Services. Along this line, 5 designated international airports and some key seaports, including land and foot crossing borders, have been placed on high alert. Declaration forms have been distributed to airlines, especially those coming in from countries where there is an ongoing outbreak of Mpox in the last 90 days.
The center draws on control measures such as getting vaccines and ongoing efforts to mitigate challenges, especially funding.
The Nigerian government is making efforts to make vaccines available to the public, especially for the hotspot areas. These vaccines have been shown to have a favorable safety profile. We are looking for support funding internationally, and that's why, again, we are talking to a lot of our partners.
The NCDC board sensitizes citizens on adherence to proven infectious prevention measures to limit Mpox virus transmission. In Abuja, Oluseyi Agbiabo, NTA News.
In the meantime, Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Tunji Alausa, is putting in place a technical team on national laboratory regulation and inspection in Nigeria, with a warning that any laboratory without an automated information management system should be shut down. Ucheogo Chiku reports.
Medical laboratories play a crucial role in healthcare, providing critical test results that inform diagnosis and treatment. However, the sector in Nigeria has been plagued by quackery, with unqualified practitioners and substandard facilities putting lives at risk. This has informed the need for stricter regulation and enforcement, which this 15-member technical team on national laboratory regulation and inspection against quackery is mandated to achieve.
And the work of this technical working group will border as well on the DNO project, and they've also given commitment to you, the registrar, that they will help with the improvement of your digital platform as well, and a way that the DNO will fit into the system.
Through an already established framework for accreditation, inspection and certification of medical laboratories, the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria technical team promised a safe, reliable and effective healthcare for all.
Considering the antecedents of members of the technical team, the people of this country can henceforth look forward to more sensitive and patient-centered regulatory activities that benchmark international best practices. In the next 6 months, the story of laboratory practice in this country will change.
The changes needed in the outcomes of Nigeria's medical laboratories are expected within the 2-year tenure of the team. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
In a similar news, the federal government is strengthening mechanisms for the seamless implementation of Nigeria's Basic Health Care Provision Fund, targeting a total transformation of the nation's healthcare system to end the out-of-pocket experiences. Oluseyi Abiabo reports that this was revealed during the Basic Health Care Provision Fund BHCPF media engagement in Abuja.
Nigeria only makes 2.4% of the total world's population, but currently accounts for 10% of the global deaths for pregnancy mothers, as infant mortality now stands at 69 per 1,000 live births and has risen to 128 per 1,000 births on the fives. The Basic Health Care Provision Fund, BHCPF, is the latest strategic funding the federal government is using to correct the worrisome statistics. The BHCPF has expended more than 130 billion naira on more than 8,000 primary health care facilities and expanded insurance coverage to 1.8 million Nigerians.
In every political ward, there is at least one primary health care facility that has received funds from the federal government through the BHCPF. And we've enrolled almost 2 million people who are receiving free healthcare services in the country.
We have achieved a lot, and we have not properly communicated to the wider public.
For the Ministerial Oversight Committee, MOC, and partners executing the project, accountability is a watchword, and the media are expected to act as the watchdog.
As journalists, we now have a better understanding and also how to demand accountability.
The Secretariat has promised to work with the media every step of the way, and then the media is very committed to also speak to the grassroots, the people who are at the receiving end of this implementation.
The BHCPF operates through 4 main gateways, and each is tasked with specific functions to ensure effective use of the funds. In Abuja, Oluseyi Abiabo, NTA News.
You're still watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Let's pause for our second break. Stay with us.
Nigeria, a land of rich culture and diverse voices, where every voice matters. In times of disagreement, let's choose dialogue over discord. Together, we can find solutions through understanding and respect. Let's build a stronger Nigeria, one conversation at a time. Dialogue, not protest. Unity, not division. Nigeria, united in dialogue.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Now talking politics, the National Working Committee of the Governing All Progressives Congress APC says every necessary arrangement has been reached to hold its National Executive Committee meeting in September 2024. The NWC of the party also reacts to the court judgment that sacked the caretaker committee members of the Rivers State chapter of the party, describing it as an abuse of court procedures, since the Emeka Bike-led State Working Committee has already filed an appeal challenging the verdict of a high court.
For that judgment, there was a judgment that had sacked the Emeka Bike executive committee, which gave rise to the establishment of the caretaker committee, to which they had appealed, and the matter is still pending before the Court of Appeal. As far as the NWC is concerned, this is a total abuse of court process, and we are still waiting for his appeal at the appellate level on his sack. And subsequent upon that details and subsequent upon that fact, we as an NWC deliberated on the matter and are reiterating the fact that we are still recognizing, in view of his his appeal in the first matter, we are still recognizing the Okocha-led caretaker committee.
The NWC urged members to remain calm, as the party will abide strictly by court decisions for victory. Kogi State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Honorable Kingsley Fanwo, has explained the rationale behind the appointment of 717 ward special assistants by the governor of the state, Alhaji Usman Ododo. The commissioner, while briefing newsmen on Thursday, said the appointments were made at deepening democracy and ensuring participatory governance among the grassroots population, assuring the people of the determination of the governor to give power to the people. Honorable Fanwo also explained that the high number doesn't translate to high cost of governance, saying the salaries of 3 ward special assistants amount to what 1 senior special assistant would have earned. He urged the people of Kogi State to take the opportunity presented by the appointment of WSAS to ensure adequate feedback and supervision of government projects, programs and policies. He noted that many projects are currently ongoing in many rural communities and more will benefit from the second phase. In other news, the Pioneer FCT Mandate Secretary for Youth Development and 4 newly appointed permanent secretaries have been inaugurated. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, urged the new appointees to come up with a sustainable blueprint that will enhance the lives of the people. Onoze Yakubu captured the symbolic ceremony and now reports.
The dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's, as well as the warm handshake, set the ball rolling for the newly appointed. And without mincing words, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike reiterates that the appointments are in response to the clamor by the indigenous people of the FCT. This, he says, is a promise made and promise fulfilled. The minister urges them to hit the ground running by coming up with a template that will enhance the lives and well-being of the residents.
You are the Pioneer Mandate Secretary. You must use it to say, while I was there as the Pioneer Mandate Secretary, this was my program for the interest of the youths. Mr. President has fulfilled his own part. It is for you now to sit down and work with us and work with me and say, look, these are the programs we think that will help the youth. We think will make the youth to the entrepreneur in nature, will help them to reduce the effects of hardship that they are facing.
Flanked by her friends and associates, one of the newly inaugurated permanent secretaries says her new position will spur her to do more for the administration. 4 new permanent secretaries were inaugurated.
I'm here through allegiance
to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
To the Federal Republic
Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Vice-Chancellor of the Federal University, Kashere, Gombe State, Professor Umar Pate, has emerged as the pioneer president of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters following election of new executives at its first national conference. Charles Alpha reports that new members were also inducted at the event in Abuja.
Day 2 of the conference began with the induction of 157 new members, cutting across various broadcasting organizations in Nigeria. They were tasked with the responsibility of upholding the tenets and core values of the broadcast organization. After the induction came the maiden election. Vice-Chancellor, Federal University, Gombe State, and the former zonal director of the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters, Okodua Matthew, were the two candidates who contested for the post of the president, with the rest positions unopposed. In the end, Professor Pate won with 231 votes, while Mr. Okodua garnered 12 votes.
I would like to present the newly elected executives of SMB.
We thank you, sir, for accepting the responsibility.
We are accepting to serve the broadcasting industry, to promote the integrity and interest of every broadcaster.
Convener of the National Conference and Chairman Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON, Saliu Abdul Hamid Dembos, and other veterans expect a rapid transformation under this new leadership.
There's so much to be done. We need to, in the first place, have the legal backing for this association. And of course, we have to extend our dragnet for membership.
We wish to see, is the welfare of broadcasters in Nigeria.
We want sanity in this industry. We want broadcasters to have prestige. And from the look of things, we are now starting on a sound footing.
That I've almost given up all. Then it springs forth and begins to grow rapidly. So I'm full of excitement.
Before now, the Society of Nigerian Broadcasters was overseen by the leadership of BON. The new executive members are expected to serve for an initial 2 years. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
We wish them a successful tenure. Elsewhere, the ECOWAS Commission has expressed continuous support to Nigeria, especially in the area of humanitarian intervention for the vulnerable. This was during a presentation of food items to the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons for onward distribution to the refugees community in the FCT. Ruth Aguele reports.
To be called a refugee is a sign of strength. Never you feel stigmatized. Never you feel left behind.
Words of hope to her counterpart, Dr. Yvonne Ndam, one of the refugees from different African countries, with majority from Cameroon, have found a haven in Nigeria, a place they learned to call their new home. As they engaged the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons on their challenges, they also expressed gratitude for the gesture shown to them.
Using the opportunity to pledge that we will continue to work with Nigeria.
The ECOWAS Commission presented food items and other condiments for onward distribution to the refugee community in the Federal Capital Territory. The Commission also pledged to double the items.
Thank God it is coming at a time where the rice is like gold. So to us it's like we just received gold.
I thank the Nigerian Commission for taking care of us.
The National Commissions for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons is working out modalities into involving them into providing for themselves as against receiving from donors or individuals. But this is the only way that we can have a sustainability in their living, sustainability for their future.
ECOWAS has budgeted about $1.7 million, which already we have started working with government in terms of durable solutions.
The Commission expressed its commitment to upscale intervention in the area of education, while putting modalities in place for the establishment of a refugee center to strengthen refugee management in the country. In Abuja, Ruth Aguwele, NTA News.
Similarly, the saying that when you empower a woman, you empower the family came to the fore when the wife of the Inspector General of Police, Elizabeth Kayode Bektohun, empowered about 600 families and widows of officers and men of the force in Abuja. Francis Form reports that the beneficiaries of the gesture have undergone 3 to 6 months extensive training before the presentation of the startups.
It is a gathering of spouses of police officers and men to commemorate the 6 decades of POA existence and to honor the memory of late police personnel, extend support and empowerment to less privileged police families and widows. Through this empowerment program, families of serving police officers and those who died in the line of duty are being equipped with the essential skills and resources.
The skills you have acquired at the Skill Acquisition Center have prepared you to take new challenges, pursue new opportunities, and achieve great things. You have worked hard to develop yourself, and you should be incredibly proud of your accomplishments.
Then comes the moment graduates of POA Skills Acquisition Center Day are being handed their certificates and startups.
I want to appreciate God for this moment, for the opportunity our mommy has given us, for giving us all these things. We want to say thank you. This giveaway mommy give us, I'm very happy. Mommy, God bless you.
Going to 50 years of a widowhood. So, and I've not seen anybody that have ever called me for this kind of a thing before. So, I really appreciate what she has done.
Emmanuel, a son to a serving inspector who emerged the overall best in the 3 months ICT training, shared the secret behind this success.
But with those 3 months, I utilize every chance I get. I utilize all the equipment we had at the school. I make sure I use everything to my best benefit.
Like Oliver Twist, widows of police fallen heroes are asking for more in the attainment of self-reliance to be able to cater for their children. In continuation of POA at 60, spouses of police officers and men, after the empowerment, have converged on the POA Secretariat to catch fun. The women who appeared in old school attire danced to the admiration of their guests. Francis Form, NTA News.
Nigeria Labour Congress says as an umbrella body of Nigerian workers, it is fully committed to dignity, unity and security of the nation. The union made the pledge when reacting to a recent Nigerian police force statement that it trailed a notorious foreign national involved in national and international crimes to the headquarters complex of the Nigeria Labour Congress in Abuja. NLC Head of Information and Public Affairs Benson Okpa, during a World Press Conference, says the union has no connection with any criminal and would have fully cooperated with security agencies if it had any knowledge of such.
This country, our primary concerns. I tell you this, if there is anything that constitutes a threat to this country in any part of the Nigerian Labour Congress, will not be associated with such an act or such a person.
The union, however, expressed disappointment that the police force did not honor its demand for an apology after the raid at the Labour House, saying that would have buttressed a positive relationship between the union and the police force. The presidency has reacted to alleged attempts by Chinese company Zhongshan Fujian Industrial Investment Company Limited to take over offshore assets of the federal government of Nigeria through fraudulent means. In a statement by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the federal government says it is not under any contractual obligation to the company, as the case is between the company and the Ogun State government, which has been making efforts to amicably resolve the matter. The statement says the contract with Ogun State was revoked in 2015 because the Chinese company had only erected a perimeter fence on the land earmarked for a free trade zone. Onanuga explained that Ogun State is still working with the Attorney General and Minister of Justice on the amicable solution. He says Jean Chan obtained 2 orders from the Judicial Court of Paris in March and August without any notice being duly served on either the federal government or Ogun State government. The presidential advisor likened the latest arm-twisting tactics by the Chinese company to the PNID case, in which questionable individuals falsely present themselves as investors to undercut governments in Africa. The government assures Nigerians of readiness to protect the nation's assets in foreign jurisdictions from predators. This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Let's remind you of our top stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima says judgment granting autonomy to local government council will enhance Nigeria's universal basic education system. Minister of Information urges international media to adhere to principles of fairness, accuracy and objectivity in reporting on issues concerning Nigeria. Security agencies promise to sustain vigilance on crude theft and pipeline vandalism. Minister of Power tasks industry players on performance to restore customers' confidence.
This is NTA News 24.
Let's look at education now. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, is calling the attention of candidates seeking answers on how to resolve issues related to the disclosure of candidates admitted outside the Central Admissions Processing System, CAPS, from 2017 to date. The board's head of public affairs, Fabian Benjamin, appreciates the enthusiasm, noting that the true emphasis lies with the institutions, which must disclose all candidates admitted outside CAPS before the August 31st, 2024 deadline for immediate attention and compliance. Dr. Fabian also reminds candidates not to accept any admission outside CAPS. The Indian community in Nigeria is marking the country's 78th independence anniversary with tributes to security agencies, especially the Jawan's armed forces who displayed remarkable bravery in India. Suleiman Abdul Wahab reports on how, at the embassy in Abuja, infuses reflections of the past with the hopes for a brighter future.
During India's 78th independence celebration, the Indian Deputy High Commissioner to Nigeria, Vitika Rawat, urged Indian nationals in Nigeria to be good ambassadors of their own country by ensuring unity and integrity to aid India and Nigerians' growth. She described Nigeria and Indians' bilateral relations as warm, friendly, and deep-rooted for many decades.
India and Nigeria have a very deep and long historical relationship, and India has always looked at Nigeria as in close partnership. We are natural partners. Both are countries which are very populated, multicultural, multi-ethnic, very diverse nations, and very natural partners.
Many of the Indians nationals at the anniversary were also quick to add that Nigeria is indeed a good home for them since being away from their native soil.
I think this is a very important gathering both for Nigerians and Indians, and especially for me. This is my 52nd year in Nigeria.
In India is going very vibrantly now. We are the top economy in the world now, a fifth economy. And again, in the cultural also, our culture is everywhere with our food, our taste, and our dresses,
They praised India's Olympians for their outstanding performance at Paris 2024 Olympics game and also aspiring to see the upcoming spacecraft where Indian astronauts will be traveling to the space next year with the mission named in their own language, Gaganyaan. In Abuja, Suleiman Abdul Wahab, NTA News.
Sympathizers at the three-day Fidao prayer of late Malam Abdullahi Labo in Bashama Road, Tudunwada, Kaduna, have described the deceased as a God-fearing man who believed in the unity of Nigeria. Haruna Muhammad has the details.
In their numbers, sympathizers from all walks of life, including the former military governor of Kaduna State, Colonel Jafaru Isa, retired, and the media, conveyed for the third-day Fidao prayer of the father of the former executive director news of NTA, Malam Abdullahi Labo. Having recited the Holy Quran, prayer was held for the repose of the soul of the deceased and for Allah to grant him Al-Jannah Firdaus.
Late Baba Abdullahi was an outstanding personality, a quintessential family man, an excellent community leader.
But looking at how peaceful the ending came, it's something to really say Alhamdulillah.
Late Malam Abdullahi died after a protracted illness at the age of 93, leaving behind 8 children, including the former executive director news, engineer Hussein Labo of NTA, and many grandchildren. In Kaduna, Haruna Muhammad, NTA News.
May his soul rest in peace. Now to sports news.
Nigeria's under-18s lost to Montenegro 26-9 in their second Group B match at the ongoing International Handball Federation Women's Under-18 Championship in Suzhou, China. The match ended 26-9 with Nigeria finishing with single digits, a slightly better result compared to the first match, which Croatia won 33-11. Montenegro's victory against Nigeria placed them and Croatia at the top of the group, with Montenegro in second position and Croatia in first, both qualified for the next round. Nigeria will face Angola in their third and final group match, while Montenegro will take on Croatia on Saturday, August 17th. Meanwhile, Ajax beat Panathinaikos 13-12 on penalties after an epic shootout featuring 34 spot kicks that lasted 25 minutes to reach the Europa League qualifying playoff round. Goalkeeper Renko Pasveer saved 5 penalties and scored 1, while defender Anton Gaye scored the winning kick for Ajax. The Dutch side won despite the Netherlands striker Brian Bobby missing 2 spot kicks, with Bertrand Traoré and Yuri Bas also off target. The game went to a shootout after the Greek side won 1-0 in Amsterdam to level the tie at 1-1, with Tete scoring in the 89th minute before a goalless extra time.
Ademhaalt en erin. Ajax is door naar de play-offs. Dankzij Guy en dankzij Pasveer.
And that concludes the news at 10 on NTA News24. Thank you for watching. See you at the top of the hour. I am Norlene Ebel Ame.